Does anyone have a question?
Stuart, this is Neil.
Yes, Neil.
Hi.
Neil, 1 second. Please sit up and do the meditation and let the question come from inside.
Wanted to ask about anger because I feel that my next birthday I'm going to be 70, and I feel like I've been walking around with guilt that to some degree I'm aware of, and anger that I'm not aware of. I'm wondering if you have anything to say about anger.
Yeah, I have a lot to say. I've had enough anger in my life to fill up the Grand Canyon, when I was younger. And I needed to learn how to channel it. I needed to learn how to, instead of throwing it out and spitting it out on the world and creating more problems with it, I needed to learn how to bring the anger to the chakra below the navel, to master it, so that when it came up, and it comes up, we all have anger in us, you can transform it by bringing it to the chakra below the navel. And the anger, which we often spit out at the world and create so much, craziness in our lives with, the anger becomes chi. The chi becomes real strength inside you. That real strength inside you can open the heart and keep the heart open. And by mastering and doing what I'm talking about, you truly can transform the anger inside you into love. But it takes an incredible amount of will. It takes an incredible amount of training inside to learn how to do this. I mean, I never knew how to do this until I began to study with Rudy. And he talked about this a lot. And eventually I began to see that it really works. It's part of the training in this meditation to learn how to do this. It's not only anger, it's guilt, it's fear, it's insecurity, it's being a victim, all of those things, they're like chaos inside a person. They take over, they really delete our energy. But if we learn to master them, and you simply learn to master them by developing the chakra below the navel, by developing your will, your internalized will, not your externalized will, so that you can draw all of that garbage and all of that tension to the chakra below the navel and transform it into chi, into shakti, into energy, of balance, of harmony, of foundation, of rootedness. That strength enables the heart to open. And literally within seconds and minutes, seconds, you can transform your anger, your guilt, your fear, your insecurity into balance and harmony. But you have to learn how to do this. And that's what these meditation classes were about. And it's probably one of the most important things I learned from Rudy, how to do exactly this. Because I was being ripped apart, in my early 20s by anger, by fear, by insecurity, by being a victim, and by spitting it out at the world, and always creating kind of a nightmare for myself doing it. And then Rudy talked about this, talked about how he had to learn how to do it for himself. And I began to practice it and develop that chi and develop that foundation, that harmony and balance in myself. It's like the martial arts, I mean, the greatest martial art teachers teach their students how to develop chi. And the chi becomes, that rootedness inside, that ability to be attuned to whatever is going on around you and not allowing yourself to get caught up in your emotions and your fear, so that it doesn't drain out of you. All your energy doesn't drain out of you. And, you know, I've had experiences with many people where their anger would come, and I just kept my mouth shut. I stay centered. I just stay rooted and grounded inside myself. And the situation, almost 95% of the time, turned into something positive. But this is the mastery of your inner self. And nobody's going to have a spiritual life until they truly learn how to master their inner self. And what does that mean? Tension. You know, I mean, tension is a universal disease. You know, it's more of a pandemic than COVID-19, you know, tension. And it eats people alive, and it transforms itself into anger, fear, you know, all kinds of insane stuff that runs rampant inside people. And a lot of it, as you said, Neil, is really repressed and buried inside. And suddenly you open in that kind of depth, you release it. Now, instead of dumping it on the world, when it's released, you bring it into the third chakra by focusing your mind and using your breath and your will. And that anger becomes chi. It becomes harmony, it becomes balance. And it's energy that will give you life instead of killing you. Now, this is not easy to do. I'm not saying that one does this, you know, it takes time, it takes work, it takes mastery of self. It takes a lot of internalization of energy. I mean, it's why, you know, the Japanese, they call it the hara, that area of chi. You know, the Chinese call it the tatien, and that is the power. And all of the martial arts, I mean, what we do is kind of a martial art. I mean, we don't get in a ring and fight people. We don't come like Bruce Lee and beat the hell out of, you know, but it has to do with having balance and dealing with all the tension of the world and not allowing it to suck our energy out of us, not allowing it to make us angry and mad and upset and emotional. We can maintain balance in ourselves. But we have to learn how to do this. And that takes time, it takes a lot of work. And honestly, the only person that any of us are up against is ourselves. I mean it. The only person who keeps you from mastering this kind of thing is yourself. Because it's there. And I can tell you it's there because I was a very angry young man when I was younger. I was very emotional. I was very, you know, I was always fighting with the world. And then Rudy came into my life. He gave me the training on how to do this, which is what I'm trying to pass on to all of you, how to do this, because you're not going to have a spiritual life until you truly learn to master your ego, your mind, your emotions, your anger, excuse me, your fear, and all of that tension. And Rudy always used to call tension, it's compost, you know, and when used consciously, compost creates, you know, this incredible organic garden. When tension is used consciously, when we draw it into the third chakra, into the hara, you understand? It becomes, it creates an organic garden inside it. It creates love. It allows us to truly transcend all of those negative emotions in ourselves, to transform them. And once that takes place, the heart can stay open. And that's the end goal of all of this, is to keep the heart open. Keep the mind quiet. Because when the mind is quiet, we get real knowledge. We get real wisdom that comes from the source of creative energy in the universe. When the heart is open, there's love, there's ananda, there's compassion, there's joy, happiness. And those are the real steps towards spiritual enlightenment. But how do you take those steps unless you master your inner self? It's easy. It's not hard to get angry. It's right on the surface. All the tension is right on the surface. And we just go to it because it's there. Transforming it is another effort, another kind of work. I hope that's clear. I can't tell you how important it was learning this, and how grateful I am to Rudy for teaching me this meditation exercise, because it basically saved my life. It really saved my life. Does anyone else have a question? So next time you get angry, instead of getting angry, just try to laugh at yourself. What am I angry about? Where is it going to take me? And if it gets away from you, okay, I have to learn how to master this. This is just draining my life out of me.
Is there anything we can exercises for the rootedness to help with the balance?
Well, just the basic exercise, Soren. This whole exercise that really developed, its most fundamental element is keeping the mind focused in the chakra below the navel. The mind is the strongest instrument you have, and by learning to focus there, you understand, it opens the very core of your being. It is, you don't need more than that. You just have to learn how to do that. There's exercises you can drop your arms to your side and ask for help to surrender negative psychic tension. It'll get rid of the surface. But to truly transform yourself, the whole secret is learning how to keep your attention in the chakra below the navel. It's just the most fundamental aspect of, it was the first thing Rudy ever taught me. First thing he said to me when I showed, bring your attention below the navel. And then I began to learn that the mind becomes like a surgical instrument that opens you at the very core of your being. And when the mind is doing this, it gets quiet. You can receive knowledge, wisdom. And opening the core allows the heart center to open and the throat to open. And it also allows energy to move through the sexual area to activate, Kundalini. I'm not putting anyone down, and everybody teaches what they teach, but a lot of people, I don't know if they've learned this from Rudy, because they don't teach this kind of thing. And it was the first thing he ever told me. Open the core, the foundation of your being. Build rootedness inside yourself. Develop that kind of inner strength. And, it's like government, you have this supposed to be the balance for that. And the balance, because just foundation, just that rootedness, without an open heart, you can become a dictator. You can be, the power is enormous. And what balances it out is gratitude, an open heart, love, quiet mind, and gratitude to God, to life. But without foundation, how do you build anything? Every tree has roots, you know? Every plant has roots. Just human beings are bouncing around in their brains, you know? There's no rootedness inside them. And there lies the major problem. And another problem is doing the work that allows this to become possible. People give up. And they just fall back on emotions, mind, instead of having the determination to truly make that possible. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, if there are no more questions, there'll be a meditation on Sunday. God bless you all. I'm looking forward to seeing you. And again, you know, I just want to tell you, I'm really grateful to do this, to be here with all of you, to share all of these incredible things I've learned in my life. And I'm hoping to pass it on. I mean, a lot of these things have to be passed on so that people can use them, you know, and develop enough consciousness in themselves to have a spiritual life. Spiritual life is only one thing. It's just getting free of yourself. That's all it is. We come to the earth to learn how to do it, how to get free of ourselves. So God bless you all. Thank you. And I'm looking forward to
Stuart.
Thank you very much,
Stuart.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart.
Bless you.
Bye.
Good night.